us are so locked into our one madhab, that when something is being criticized, we want to defend the indefensible. When there's actually a beautiful answer to this question in the Hanafi madhab, or in the Shafi'i madhab, or in the Hanbali madhab, sometimes even in the Zahiri madhab. Just as in fiqh, in Islamic jurisprudence and law, you cannot survive modern society or any cosmopolitan society today with one madhab. You cannot, and say you are being faithful to Quran and Sunnah. Every madhab, a madhab is a school of thought of scholars with a methodology of dealing with uncertainty, what is called dhanni, either dhanni dilala or dhanni thubut, where there's some level of speculation and presumption regarding a verse of the Quran, a hadith. So you have madhabs of schools of thought to handle that level of probability and speculation. Each madhab is trying to represent the Prophet in his absence. You only hear of madhab differences where an issue is dhanni, that the scholars disagree on. That's why when you ask, okay, according to your madhab, when do we fast for a whole month in Islam? It's not a madhab issue. Why? Because it's explicitly clear in the Quran and clear from the hadith when we do Ramadan. Where do we go for Hajj? It's explicitly clear. It's not a madhab issue. They all agree on it. Do we believe in angels? It's not a madhab issue. Why? Because there's no dhanni, there's no speculation, there's no difference of opinion among scholars. So you only have madhab differences where there's a disagreement. And just like on the issues to do with fiqh, same thing on the issues to do with aqidah. Many of us from the Maliki side have grown up as Ash'ari. Ash'ari, Maturidi, Mu'tazila, some of these are like dead. We don't even know what they are. We still know about Maliki, Shafi, Hanbali, because many of the differences between the theological schools of thought, they fought in the past, but it's, you know, some of them are pure academic. However, as we find in the area of fiqh, on the areas to do with aqidah, there are those fundamentals that everybody agrees on. That Allah exists, and that He is part of ilmul ghaib, His reality is beyond our perception. That the hereafter exists, and the reality of the hereafter is ghaib, is beyond our perception. That angels exist, and the list goes on. So there are those parts of aqidah that are fundamental. These are usually those teachings that come from two types of evidence. Qat'i thubut and qat'i dilala. It comes from the Quran or hadith mutawatir, not just any hadith. Hadith that have so many chains of narrators that nobody questions these hadith. So from the historical authenticity point of view, those hadith are as strong as the Quran. Hadith, mutawatir, and the Quran. Those are what you call the kind of evidence that are qat'i thubut. But then, the evidence is also qat'i dilala. That what the implication of this verse or this hadith is, nobody differs in their interpretation. So once everybody agrees, no question mark regarding authenticity and no question mark regarding what does it mean, that becomes part of those daruriyat of the deen. Everything else belongs to what they call the furu, the branches. Those qat'i, daruriyat, are what unite us as Muslims. And those furu, the branches, those things that are based on dhanni evidence, whether dhanni dilala or dhanni thubut, that is where our diversity comes in. Why am I mentioning this? Because when it comes to responding to atheist arguments, you need the agility. You need the flexibility to respond from some other schools of Muslims who have opinions different from the one you have. But I want to hone down on this point, even if time doesn't allow us to cover the rest, inshallah, during Q&A, I think we'll be able to add more. There was a man who took his son to the zoo. And in the zoo, they saw the various animals in their cages. But he noticed that the elephant was not in a cage and was tied by a rope that was not thicker than his finger. He looked at the rope, he looked at the huge elephant, he held his son tight and he stepped back. He went to the zookeeper and said, "Excuse me, I noticed your elephant." He said, "What about it?" "It has a very thin rope tying it. In other zoos, they have a rope as thick as my fist or a chain tying the elephant. All this elephant needs to do is kick its leg, and you are in trouble, because nobody can hold that guy down." The zookeeper said, "Don't worry, it'll never do that." How so? Because when this elephant came, it came as a baby. And that was the kind of rope we used to tie it. And it struggled and couldn't break the rope. And it gave up. And it stopped trying. It's not that rope that is tying the elephant. It's the belief. Some of us have ropes in the name of madhab. In the name of you are Ash'ari. You are not this, you are this. The house of Islam has many rooms. Muslim scholars throughout history have contributed to solving so many problems. One room cannot solve everything. One room cannot solve everything. Please, when you hear somebody saying something, "Oh, in Islam, kaza, kaza," just to shoot an example in the air. When atheists will talk about the number of people who are going to hell will be more than the number of people who are going to paradise. Yeah, Muslims are a minority, and since you believe only Muslims go to paradise, yes, minority. So at the end of the day, all these who go to hell will be in hell forever. Yeah. That means, in the whole grand scheme of things, as a competition between Allah and Shaitan, Shaitan won. There are a lot of implications to that. But not just that. But did Allah know Shaitan will win if he was all-knowing? Yes. And he still went ahead with it. Yes. Isn't that wicked? According to Ibn Taymiyyah, Ibn Qayyim, Imam al-Tahawi, whose book on Aqidah is one of the most respected, hell is a temporary punishment. That's not what we've been taught. But that's the opinion of Imam al-Tahawi, Ibn Taymiyyah, Ibn Qayyim, and many others. Why? Not just because of a hadith quoted by Ibn Qayyim and Ibn Taymiyyah on this, where the Prophet ﷺ talked about a time when a wind will blow through hell and empty it, because Allah never meant it to be there forever. But because Allah's rahmah overrides his anger. It is his anger that is limited. It's his rahmah that is unlimited. But someone says, but Allah talks about in the Quran, halidina fiha ahqaba, or halidina fiha abada. People will be in forever, etc., etc. But these scholars take it that since we are sure from the hadith that it is temporary, we are sure from the logic of the limit of Allah's of anger, then they interpret the hadith as metaphorical. That ahqaba or abada just means a long time. Just like saying you'll be waiting forever if you're going to be staying there waiting for me. The reason is because in Islamic communities, in the issue of language, you interpret things to avoid contradictions. So you can have what they call tarjih, where you take what you think is a stronger one, leave other stronger evidence, but all scholars will tell you adjunct, where you are able to reconcile all evidences. That gives you a better answer than one where you are left with contradictions. Or where some will do what is called nasikh wal mansukh, saying this one abrogates the other. In the few minutes that remain, I will just touch and say, please in the lion's den where you are, and actually that den is expanding, please learn from other Muslims who may belong to other schools of theological or juristic thought. Otherwise, you will lose your children. You will lose a lot of them. Because it means you would rather they leave Islam than they hold another opinion that is given within the house of Islam. Please think about the choices you are making. If you insist, no, it's only our madhab, and it's only our type of aqidah, even though you recognize scholars greater than you have held another opinion, and you want to insist the other one is wrong, unacceptable, then think of the options you are giving your children. Why do Muslims leave? Studies have been conducted among over 5,000, one study of over 3,000, up to 5,000 people who left their religion, atheists, to find out why did you leave. The number one reason was hypocrisy between what the parents were teaching and what the parents were actually doing. What the teacher was teaching and what the teacher actually did. Yeah. You say I should pray, I don't see you praying. You say we should tell the truth and be fearful of God, but I hear you lying on the phone. What you say and what you do does not tally. That just fed, if it doesn't work for you and you don't really believe it, why should I believe it? The other is trauma. Some really feel being a Muslim and keeping that Muslim identity, how do I continue to defend September 11th and that suicide bombing and what that imam said and what that other person said? To save themselves of that pain, they reject the whole thing. The baby and the bathwater. Misconceptions that they have about Islam, questions they have asked, you haven't answered. And many of us, questions that we can't answer, we kind of think the Malam, Madrasa, Alim, teacher, he will answer the question. Are they not doing Islamic studies? I have been on the panel of a group or committee that was to look at the new curriculum for an Islamic studies department in a Nigerian university. And we brought the curriculum of Usman bin Fodio University, Bayero University, Ilorin, ABU. Let's look at these and let's look at what we want. That was the first time I was able to see what kind of curriculum. Outdated. Nothing on extremism or how to handle it. Nothing on interfaith relations. Nothing on LGBT. Nothing on evolution. Nothing on anything contemporary. And you want these ones to answer your questions? I was in a school in Australia, and we did what we did yesterday with some of the young people here. What questions do you find faith-shaking, doubt-creating, embarrassing about Islam? What Islamic teachings do you think are outdated, irrational, unfair, conscience-disturbing? So every group, write, pick your top 3, and we'll see what we can answer within the time available. Unfortunately, we only had time to answer the top 1 from every group. But with that kind of exercise, we were in a classroom, I wrote on the board all the questions being asked. Then we asked the students, pick your top 7, since time would not allow us. And they picked and we answered. Are you all satisfied? Yeah. Is there any of the questions you would rather I go back to? No? The remaining questions. So there's no time, your teacher will handle the rest. The teacher met me later, brother, you are creating problem for me. Who's supposed to answer those questions? You tell me. Look, I finished Islamic studies from this university and blah, 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 blah. They didn't teach us this one. It's as if Islam is an issue of the past. It's as if you're studying history. Nothing to study. Nothing to grow. Some people are teaching Islamic studies because they've got no other job to do. So to conclude, yes, many join the Muslim group or the fold of Islam, but in many countries, the number of those embracing Islam is equivalent to the number of those who are leaving. So it's a serious problem. Teachers and parents And for the UK Muslim Forum, Nigeria Muslim Forum, I think you have a lot to do in how to vaccinate people who are coming to the Lions Den. This place has a lot of opportunity. It has an opportunity to sharpen your understanding of Islam. I remember Dr. Jibril Oyekan, who is still in Lagos, once said he was a Muslim born in Nigeria, but made in the UK. Yeah. Here his faith was challenged. Here he took things seriously. Here he learned Islam. Here he grew. There are a lot of things in confronting these challenges, but number one, face your own challenges. You start asking questions that you've stopped asking. You might be satisfied, but your children are not going to be satisfied. You need to have open ways of